Hi guys, not sure how long this video will be tonight because it's getting kind of late and it's been a long day. You can see I got ridiculously burnt today. Um, and I haven't recorded yet because my family's home for Memorial Day. So I've figured out that I really cannot record when anybody's in the house, but I'm gonna make myself get used to it because Ava's gonna be on summer break pretty soon. So I need to figure it out. Um, I usually go through the week and kind of know like an idea of what I'm going to talk about. Like there's stuff on my heart throughout the week that I think about and pray about, but I didn't really have much of that this week. Um, I'm thinking kind of because I feel terrible about asking why I ever loved Justin to begin with. Um, Kind of putting me back into that headspace of I love him, I hate him, like the craziness of all of that. But I don't know. Now I'm able to kind of like work through it a little bit better than I was back then. It's been like 2.5 decades since he died, so it's about time that I figure that out. But um, I don't know. I've just been thinking a lot about like the good times and that there were a lot of good times and there was a lot of time that I really did love him and I do know why I did. But like I said before, it's just really hard for me to look at all of it as a whole. So I'm really trying to just, as things come up and as I talk about it on here, just look at everything as the whole big picture and how God has led me through all of it and gotten me to this point in my life and how it has all affected me up until then, or up until now. So some of the other stuff that I've talked about besides Justin is like my family life and growing up and like when my parents got a divorce. And really, like, I don't blame either one of my parents for our life. Like, I really feel like I had a good life, actually. Um, there was stuff that wasn't as good as other people's, but there was stuff that was a lot better than what other people have it. So I feel like it was pretty middle of the road. Um, I remember there being a lot of fighting. And like, there's one time I remember sitting in front of the door, like crying, trying to sit in front of the door and like try to keep it to where my dad couldn't leave. And he like opened the door and just kind of moved me along with it. I was really young, like really little. So it wasn't even hard for him to open the door at all. But I just have some kind of memories like that. And I do remember there was a lot of fighting, but when I look back at the childhood that both of my parents had, I feel like they really did good with us for what they came from. And like, they didn't really have the best influence. I can't really say that. Like, my dad had my grandma, and I don't really know a lot about his upbringing. Like, he doesn't talk about it a lot. My grandma was amazing with us, but I have no idea what it was like for him and his siblings growing up as far as that goes. I know some stuff that happened when they were growing up that would make things really, really hard for all of them. But I know stuff on my mom's side too that it was like a reprieve to go over to my dad's house. And it was just a really hard situation for both of them growing up, I think. And they were each other's lifeline. They helped each other get through some tough times in their life. And then I think just found out that they couldn't get out of that. Like they couldn't get out of those situations and those mindsets. And they probably had a pretty toxic relationship from when they were really young too, and just weren't able to kind of get through that. So I feel like this is getting to be kind of all over the place with me not really having a plan about what to talk about or like really thinking about it throughout the week. But one of the things that I was thinking about this week is like kind of the things that started to happen after my parents got a divorce. So like being an adult now and knowing like the stuff that I've gone through. I married really young and divorced a year later. So kind of understanding like the feelings that you go through after that. It's a little bit easier to look back and understand what my parents were going through. Obviously, I don't know all of it, but um, like I just think about when they got a divorce and where they both would have been at in their life and in their frame of mind. and having 3 teenage daughters, like, we really came out of that good because we're alive, for one. Most of us still talk, for two. Things could have been so much worse than they were. Like, they definitely could have been better, but they could have been so much worse too. And, like, looking at how they both were, like, I remember them still fighting a lot, still trying to be like I remember my mom trying to still be like the disciplinarian like she always was, but my dad like trying to show us that like we could do things with him and we could have fun over at his house, and still being a mess. Like, they were both a mess themselves. But I think that's where like the art of manipulation really started for me. I was able to kind of use how they were feeling against them, and was able to pretty easily see what I could get away with and what I couldn't. And there was a lot that I could get away with. There was a time that my mom was meeting my stepdad. This was before they were married. And she was going to meet him and hang out with him. And we were supposed to go to my dad's house for that weekend. And I remember I stole my mom's van. I think I was 14 or 15 at that time. And me and Summer and Shannon took my mom's van, and we had vodka in there, we had cigarettes in there, we had weed with us. We were going to run away to Chicago, and first we went to Iron Mountain. We were going to pick up this person whose nickname was Humpadog. His last name like started sounding like Humpa, but so his nickname was Humpadog. And I remember when my mom heard that, she was just like completely lost her mind about it. But it's really not funny, but it kind of is. So, yeah, we thought that we had it all figured out and everything was going to be great. So we were going to Iron Mountain to pick this guy up, and we were going to go to Chicago, and we needed gas. And I think we like took a gas can out of somebody's garage, and it didn't have the nozzle on it. So we like pulled over to a gas station, and we were putting gas into a water bottle and then trying to squirt the water bottle into the gas tank on the van. And we hadn't even picked up the guy yet. So it's us 3 girls, and we're trying to do this at a closed gas station, and the police pull up. So I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, just tell them that I'm Jackie, because none of us had our driver's license. So I'm like, just tell them that I'm Jackie, because she had her driver's license, my older sister. So I'm like, they separate us, and they're talking to all 3 of us at one time. And I told them I was my sister, that I didn't know my social security number, I didn't have my driver's license with me. Like, I thought that the cop was totally believing everything that I said, but I'm sure that he probably wasn't. And then he comes, like, he goes and talks to another officer, and they both come back over, and they're like, so Jessica? And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no. So they're like, yeah, Summer told us everything. So of course I got all mad at her, but like, obviously they probably knew anyway. So they ended up taking us to the police station, and they took my mom's van there. They got a hold of her. So she had to get a ride to come and pick us up. I think she got my aunt to come with her, or to bring her up there to pick us up and pick up the van. And then I think that Summer and Shannon's mom had to come up there too. So I don't know if they all rode together or if they rode separate. I can't remember riding back home really. But yeah, we could have gotten in so much trouble, really, for having alcohol, weed, cigarettes, being underage, driving, like, so much trouble. And we didn't end up getting in any trouble for that. Like, we just sat in this little holding area, kind of like cracking jokes with the cops while we waited for my mom to get there. And then, like, obviously I got yelled at a ton on the way home. And we were supposed to be going to my dad's house for the weekend. So my mom's telling me how I'm like grounded until forever. I'm not going to see Summer and Shannon ever again. I'm not going to see Justin ever again. This is ridiculous. Who's even called hump a dog? Like, just getting yelled at a lot. But so then when we went to my dad's house, my mom was telling him everything that happened. It was like the next day, and she's like, we were up all night. I had to go pick her up from the police station. She's getting in all this trouble, and I need you to like stick to her being grounded. Well, of course, them fighting and arguing, they're not going to be able to see eye to eye on anything. So my dad was like, well, I'm not taking my weekend to make her be punished just because you can't keep control of her. So we went out to the lake that weekend, and we went boating and skiing and tubing. My uncle took us out there with my dad, and we had a great time and spent the rest of the weekend with my dad. And then I think by the time my mom got back, like, she was so mad at my dad about that she just kind of like let it go with me a little bit. She definitely didn't sleep as good at night because I had taken her van in the middle of the night and she caught me that time. Like, there were a lot of times that I did that, but most of the time I just took it to go see Justin. And she only caught me one other time at Justin's house with it, and had to like get a ride for me to be able to go back home and her to get her van. But yeah, I don't remember really what all happened for me to just kind of get let off the hook for that, but I really never suffered many consequences for that. But it really showed me like what I could do to manipulate my parents and how I could play them against each other. And like, I don't know, I think I learned a lot about manipulation through that one event. I'm sure there was a lot more that went into it, but that definitely started it for me. And I've pretty much been able to manipulate a lot of people for a lot of my life. I used it a lot in my active drug use, and was able to kind of get away with using for a really long time without people knowing. Like, I think that people knew there was something, but they didn't know what it was, and I would just like play them against each other and make them feel like a lot of gaslighting, honestly. It's terrible to think about now, but I thought I was doing something good to get away with it and to keep my family from knowing about everything. So that shows how much you can lie to yourself. But yeah. So that's pretty much all that I feel like I need to talk about this week. I know that this seems very anticlimactic, but I'm kind of finding out that whatever it is that I end up talking about, God uses it for stuff. The people who have gotten a hold of me, you guys, like, when I tell you that these are hard for me to put out, it's hard for me to record, I feel like nothing good could come from me just talking about situations in my life. And then somebody will call me and have a specific story of how something that I said made them feel better, made them feel like they weren't alone in this. And that is what Satan will do. Every single time he wants to isolate us and make us feel like we're the only person who has ever felt this way. He will lie, and he will make you feel like you are a terrible person and like nobody would ever understand. But we all have been through something like that. Like, in every single person, it's the hardest thing for them. Like, I remember when I was using and trying to get clean, and I felt like nobody could possibly understand what I had been through in my life. Nobody could possibly understand how hard my life was. And then I found out that I'm not special. Like, I'm not. There's people who have it so much harder than I have ever had it. And they've gotten through it too. So anyway, I just pray that God will use this to be able to bless somebody, that if you've gone through stuff with your family, or I don't know, learning about manipulation yourself, like, I just pray that God will take this video, and even when I don't feel like it could do any good for anybody, that he will get it to the person that needs to see it or needs to hear it, and it will just help them be able to connect with something. So please like this video, share it, comment on it, get it out there to as many people as we possibly can, because I know that God will take it and he will use it for something good. I just thank you for all of the love and all of the support so far. It really means a lot to me. It really is helping me to keep going. So thank you very much for that. Good night.